Well, I guess I'm, done with that story.
Let's find it.
This will probably be the next episode, which means you've either already seen the other stuff and it's not quite relevant anymore. Although I'm assuming I have an episode that's uploading Saturday. That last one that we just recorded will probably upload Sunday. And so this will be a Monday episode. Yeah. So what will have happened by Monday? I'm guessing... Let's see, Miku Expo will be over by now. I'm also guessing my cards will have come in to finish making my deck totally super awesome. I still want to do some Magic the Gathering content sometime. Whether it be actually just recording, playing the game live, or doing like Magic the Gathering online, or just something. I'm pretty into the game. I just feel like, after playing so much, that it would be cool to, use what I've learned to make, content, and share it with you guys. Aw. Press circle a little too late. Oh well. Jeez, there's so many of these buggers. Alright. But yeah, if you guys have any suggestions for what or how I should do that, feel free to leave a comment or something, because I'd love to hear it. I mean, come on. I placed in an F&M. That totally means I'm awesome, right? No, but seriously, I am pretty proud about going from a top... I guess usually I'd get like top 4, and by top 4 I mean I'd get 4th place, or around there. Typically, 4th to 6th, which doesn't necessarily mean a lot when it's only like 8 to 10 people, but I placed a couple times, but never quite going undefeated, what you call it, 3-0. I mean, usually I think it's only like, actually, no, it's usually only 4 matches. It was 5 this time. So I think I ended up being 4-1, and that just felt really, awesome. Because I was actually undefeated in my first 4 games. On the last game though, I was fighting a red-green devotion monsters deck, and like first game, the opponent was on the play, which with that kind of deck gives a really big advantage, and it's really hard for me to play a keep up because I play more of a mid-range deck right now. But like it was one of those uphill battles that he eventually won the first game, and I sideboarded it out to add more AoE control and lower cost of removal. And I ended up not needing half of it because when I get to go first, I just get, so much more advantage by being able to play my spells on time, to remove his threats, and to be able to play my own before he gets a chance to ramp up. And so what ended up happening is I have this creature called Goblin Rabblemaster, which is totally awesome and will be seeing a lot of play in all sorts of decks that run the color. But I was able to get that guy out and just keep a constant threat up, and stopped my opponent from being able to keep any of his threats out, because I just, basically shoot him in the face anytime he played anything down. And so I was able to, keep steady and do fine there. But so after that, I made the mistake of taking out the AoE removal, because I figured, half the stuff it's not really effective against. But the problem is, the parts that it is really effective against is the times that you would, that it could change the game. And the sad part is, one of the cards I had in my hand is a card that I had replaced for, for that other card. And so, I was in the situation where if I had had that card, that would have severely changed the dynamic of the game. But then it came to the point where I was just top decking and he had too much threats on the board and I couldn't do anything about it. But so, that was my mistake, and I'm glad I learned it now instead of actually at like GPLA or something. But that's the one thing I really do like about Magic is it's not just, knowing your cards or your deck. It's about knowing when to change it up and how to change it up. Like right now, I guess it's mostly a homebrew. We've done this is the kind of thing where we'll go to Denny's to like 2 o'clock in the morning and just play test and, hang out. And just watching one of the other people who plays there, who is really good, by the way. Just watching him play and the decisions he made, and just the type of deck he plays, it made me realize a lot about the format and how to change up what I was doing. Because before I was running this color scheme called Mardu, which is a more aggressive clan from, the new set that's out, where I guess I wouldn't say it's quite themed, but just that's the new naming scheme for some of the colors that they have. But I had a lot of lower power, weaker creatures that you can get early on. But the problem I was running into is a lot of the, the smaller creatures get easily removed. And I realized I needed a lot bigger threats for what the meta currently is. Which is funny because that change has made my deck really good against most matchups, but worse against like the red-green ramp, because my deck is a lot slower, and being slower makes it a lot harder to, stabilize. And that's basically what you have to do when you're playing against that kind of deck, is you need to stabilize. But after playing with him, I realized that my little threats really weren't cutting it, and the recursion on them really wasn't that effective, especially for the cost to play the cards. And so what I ended up doing is replacing all the little cheap threats for cheap direct damage and filtering. So now I have this card called Magma Jet that does 2 damage to a target creature or player, but it also lets you look at the top 2 cards of your deck and decide whether or not you want to keep them there. Which, with this current format is really important, especially because the decks are 3 color right now, or at least the one I'm running. And it's really hard to run 3 color reliably because of being able to get your mana on time. Which, if you don't play Magic, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but just know it's a thing, and it's something you need to watch out for. That's another thing. I've been trying to get my friends into playing Magic the Gathering lately, and I've had some success, and I know it's a lot to learn, and it's one of those games where you need to play it more than, once a week. And by that I mean literally like play 1 game once a week at most. Usually we don't even get a chance to play too much because everyone's busy. But, it's one of those things that it's very rule intensive, or it can be at times, and it's different from the other card games they do play, at least enough that it makes it difficult to, go between the two. I mean, the way I'd compare it is like the difference between League of Legends and Dota 2. Like they're similar games that use a similar map, but they're only similar like in the facade. Like the actual gameplay and mechanics is so different that it's essentially, a completely different game. Which I've seen people who say, no, it's the same game. If you know one, you can know the other. But no, there are completely different metas, completely different playstyles, completely different mechanics. Just from a game design perspective, there's so much that is driving those two apart that makes it very hard to transition from one to the other. Yay, we did a thing. I think we'll cut here. And now for the next episode. Actually, I don't know if we'll need a cut. I wasn't actually paying attention to how long that took. It might not have actually been that long. If so, then this will be a continuation. But yeah, first of all, if I'm going to do magic content, I have to think, who is the actual audience for that kind of thing? Like, people who play Magic and already know what's going on? Or people who have no idea what I'm talking about, and if I should do it in such a way that it would, teach people the game and help them learn, what exactly everything is, and maybe, get more people into it. Because the weird thing about Magic that I've learned, like, just from the demographic and the marketing, is, like, everyone who plays starts because one of their friends got them into it, and the demographic is largely male, and they don't actually really advertise, so it's all word of mouth. And who hangs out with, nerdy dudes who play Magic the Gathering? Other nerdy dudes. And so there's a very small, in comparison, female demographic for that game, which is a real shame, I'll be honest. I mean, first of all, because it's really hard to meet women. I mean, when you work from home and all your hobbies are very male-centric. But it's just a shame, too, because it's a very intricate game that has a lot to offer. And just the fact that there's entire demographics who could possibly like it, but just aren't exposed to it. Which, I'll admit, sounds kind of dirty when I put it that way. But it's just one of those things that if you're not in the, or you don't have the circle of friends who do that kind of stuff, then you might not even ever know it exists, just because that's how the marketing works. But yeah, it's one of those. See, it's not like there's no women. It's just like most of the ones that there are, and at least 100% of the ones that I've met by playing Magic were introduced to the game by their significant other. And again, it's a huge struggle for someone like me who's, trying to meet new people and, not be single for the rest of my life. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily mind it. Gives me a lot of free time. 'Cause relationships, don't get me wrong, they're great and all. But you will not have free time if you want to be in a good committed relationship, from what I've seen. Or maybe that's just me, because when I do something, I tend to overdo it. As I've noticed with both Magic and from my education when I went to college, and from just basically everything I do. I don't really like to half-ass it. I feel like, what's the point? If you're gonna get into something, do it. If you want to learn something, really do it. Like, back when I was going to my college, I think I would end up staying until about 10 or 11 at night, after all, the class was essentially empty by then. Like, I was the only one in the class. I mean, my class started at, I think, noon, and got out at 3, and I would just, you know, stay there until I finished the projects I was working on. Because I'm, you know, as an artist, and the classes I was into was like 3D modeling and animation and 2D animation and stuff like that. Like, whenever we had projects, I would go all out on them and just spend, you know, 15 hours a day working on that one project. Because, you know, again, I will, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it as amazingly and perfectly as I possibly can. And I'll be honest, had a lot of fun doing it. A lot of the fun also was in just being able to present something that you made and being like, yeah, this is pretty neat. Anyways, look, we cleared an entire stage. All because we couldn't sleep tonight. I mean, this might span over 2 or 3 uploads, but I mean, I hope you all had fun. I think this was quite enjoyable. Just being able to, you know, talk, reflect on stuff. I mean, I don't know if this was any better than any of the others, but if so, let me know. I'd love to hear it. Anyways, this is Manifusion, signing out. See you guys next time. Thank you for watching.